you won't tolerate this disrespect, the bad behavior. And I think it tells also Meghan that there are boundaries, because she'll continue to get Harry to try to cross these boundaries when there are no consequences.
Breaking right now, Prince Harry has been slammed in a new book as it emerges that King Charles is going to allow him to keep his royal title forever. The Royal News Network writes on this, sorry, but Charles has been a bit of a coward here. He's not humiliating his son by stripping him of his titles, but teaching him a lesson. Actions have consequences. Charles also needs to consider that Harry and Meghan are overall doing a lot of damage to the royal brand. If he wants to keep the throne strong for William, Charles must deal with its weakest link, which is his younger son, be less of a father and more of a king. Now, I couldn't agree more with the Royal News Network. I have been advocating for Harry and Meghan to lose their titles for years. More so, I believe that Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet need to be stripped and removed from the line of succession until we know for sure that they are legitimate heirs to the British throne. Now, another reason for Harry to be let loose and cut loose is because he's just an embarrassment. And we have had an insight into why in this astonishing new book, Yes, Ma'am, which is written from the perspective of the royal servants. Now, it's by Tom Quinn, and the Mail has received an excerpt of the book, which they've headlined Prince Harry given savage nickname by former servants who joked it would take him 2 weeks to put his trousers on without them. Now, I can tell you what that nickname is, so let's dive deep into the book. Tom Quinn writes that the servants dubbed him probably the most muddled of all the royals of his generation, and said those working for him would compare him to a famous Blackadder character. This is what the servant said. I remember once in his private apartments, I'd muddle something, some of his papers on his desk or something. He was immediately angry, and it was out of proportion to the problem, or at least I thought it was. The source added that other staff had experienced similar incidents and even used to quip about the royal's temperament. We thought it was a bit rich, complaining about me being muddled, given that Harry was probably the most muddled of all the royals of his generation. The joke used to be that Harry was very much like the Prince Regent in the Blackadder television series. People used to say that without a servant, Harry would take 2 weeks to put his own trousers on, which is, of course, a reference to that famous Rowan Atkinson comedy. The book also claimed that several of Harry's former staff insist that his vulnerability gave him sensitivity and charm, but like his brother William and his father Charles, he was prone to flashes of irritation, which I would say is one of the understatements of the year. P-Dina joins me now, the royal YouTube sensation. P-Dina, look, obviously these are very embarrassing revelations for Harry. It shows this is a guy who doesn't really know what he's doing, but we knew that. That's why he's been so manipulated by Meghan Markle, because he thought that she was the woman who would take control of his life and career and turn it all around for him. However, I am actually with Brittany from the Royal News Network, who says the time has come for Charles to take some serious action because Harry and Meghan risk pulling down the royal brand. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. And I think the reason why he has the propensity to be able to do that is because he's in America now. And I think a lot of Americans are learning about the royal family through Harry's eyes and his experiences and what he is doing with Meghan. I think a lot of people don't follow it as closely. And so that is like the default. And I think it can be detrimental to the overall brand because they are an extension of the royal family. I mean, in America, at least, that's what it is. That's why they get the attention that they get. And I think you have to set the tone and you have to put down, your foot and lay down the law, what needs to be done. And when there are no consequences, learning doesn't occur. It does not get better, it becomes worse. And when there are no consequences, that is not good. And Harry needs to he needs to have consequences. And I think getting all of the backlash that he's been getting since being in America is good for him to eventually wake out of it because, like I say on my show, he's got some stupidness in him because there is just no way a man like him should be led by this woman the way he has been led. And he is not getting better. It's getting worse because he's relying on Meghan. So I just think Harry is somebody that needs to have like that serious, tough love because that's what I always say, the most difficult thing to do is usually the right thing to do. It's difficult for the king to give Harry consequences. That's the difficult thing to do. So to default to just let him keep it, that's the easy thing to do. And that tells you it's the wrong thing to do. You need to do the difficult thing, make these tough choices, and make consequences. Because it doesn't help you, your legacy, the royal family, everything that is going on over the pond. I mean, I just hope William, when he takes the reins, he makes some changes and that there's a turnaround of actions. Because right now, and I even think behind the scenes, the king might even be still helping Harry. So it's just not good overall. And I think it speaks volumes to the monarchy, the way Americans see it, when you see Harry just getting away with everything with no consequences. It's not good.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. And the problem is, there are questions that need to be asked. There are questions that need to be answered about Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, for example.
Hmm.
I do believe that Prince William will have the balls to tackle all of this. He probably is hoping that the marriage is over by the time he comes to the throne. At the same time, I don't think that means that he immediately welcomes Prince Harry back into the fold because there has been so much negativity, so much bad blood. It's Charles who does have this fundamental weakness. And yes, it is his son, but sometimes, I mean,
Hmm.
look, P-Dina, all I'll say, and I don't want to get into the details of the case here, but all I'll say is the late Queen Elizabeth II knew in her heart and in her soul that her favourite son, Prince Andrew, was innocent, yet she still stripped him of every last vestige of respectability and
Right.
royal life because she knew it was necessary.
You have to show that side. You have to show that although this is my child, I need to do what I need to do to save, the monarchy, the image, the perception, everything that you do has to benefit that. You have to juggle both of these roles as parent and monarch. And I think the king needs to do that. I think that will be the right thing to do because you are really saying what is important and you won't tolerate this disrespect, the bad behavior. And I think it tells also Meghan that there are boundaries, because she'll continue to get Harry to try to cross these boundaries when there are no consequences. And I just wish that, yeah, the king would do something that would really take a stand. And that's really difficult for him, obviously, but it needs to be done.
But first, we've partnered with Gundry MD to share this information with you. Would you believe me if I told you inside your pantry right now is one of the healthiest foods on the planet? Yep, it's true. And it's not some weird, trendy superfood. Spoiler alert, it's olive oil. You're probably used to cooking with it, but there are countless ways to use olive oil to help yourself look and feel younger. For example, olive oil is a natural way to help you achieve a more youthful appearance. Besides helping you look younger on the outside, it's a fantastic tool for your insides as well. According to Dr. Stephen Gundry, a famous cardiothoracic surgeon, nutrition expert, and health advocate, you should get as much high quality olive oil into your daily routine as possible, whether it's taking a shot of it daily or keeping a bottle of it in your bathroom medicine cabinet. But what kind of olive oil is best for your health? Well, any olive oil can give you some benefits, but if you're looking to get the best results, it matters a lot which one you pick. That's because the olive oil industry is huge. I mean, you can tell that just by looking at the number of olive oil brands at the grocery store, and you can bet they're not made with the consumer in mind. Many brands even cut corners one way or another to increase profits. Now, when Dr. Gundry came to this realization, he was appalled. But some olive oils are so powerful, it may only take a few tablespoons a week to see these incredible health benefits. So, how can you tell between an olive oil that can be a health booster and which one isn't up to par? In an effort to answer that question, Dr. Gundry has decided to take a stand and release his personal research and findings. This video has gone viral since its release, and it's important you see it so you can start benefiting immediately. So you can watch the video right now by going to getolive1.com/outspoken or by clicking the link in the description box below. So that's getolive1.com/outspoken, or just click on the link in the description box below. People who have taken his advice have shared their results with him, saying the olive oil they bought after learning his simple rules has helped to change their lives. So make sure you go to getolive1.com/outspoken or click on the link in the description box below this video. But now, back to the show. P-Dina, fascinating revelation from the Daily Mail this week, which they headlined Meghan's last hope in regards to American Riviera Orchard, and the fact that Netflix is going to be selling jam, honey, and olive oil from Meghan Markle at their new brick and mortar stores. Now, this was presented as a positive thing for Meghan, a chance to prove to Netflix that she is really worth keeping and there might be another deal done. But that wasn't my read of this story, P-Dina, because if we really are talking about Meghan literally having her product in a couple of stores, I think there's the King Prussia Mall in Philadelphia and the Dallas Galleria. That is not a proper brand. I mean, you're literally talking about probably 1,000 units of these products. If there's no ability for people around the world to order them, is this not just Meghan effectively giving up on Aro?
Yeah, I mean, the copyright issue hasn't been resolved either,
No, it hasn't.
right? So yeah, I mean, what can you do? You just maybe just let it just fade out. I don't see how it can be successful until that issue around copyright is resolved. Yeah, you just have to go through with it at this point. I mean, what can you do? It has to go on, but you're going to try and see what happens. And we all know what's going to happen. It's not going to take off and be relevant in any kind of way. I mean, this is a big shakeup, a hiccup for her in her marketing of these jams. I mean, where were her lawyers? I mean, where were the people that make all this money that are supposed to, make these important decisions? This was not around, or maybe it was, and Megan didn't want to listen, and she wanted to do what she wanted to do. This is a disaster waiting to happen. That only two stores? No. This is not, and I think out of rebellion, people are going to go and buy the King's Gym. I just had some this morning, by the way.
Is it good?
So I think it's going to be good for the royal family and the King's Gym, if
Yeah, I mean,
anything.
all I will say is let's see. Let's see. There is still the possibility, of course, that when the series airs, we will get a website, we will get the ability to buy the product, but it feels very unlikely.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, P-Dina, the real royal, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, is actually doing the most incredible work at the moment. And it's a real shame that quite a lot of it has been overshadowed by the Invictus Games this week. But Catherine's going about her duty in a quiet manner, but actually doing things that are daring and interesting and making a real point. So this was a visit to a women's prison in Cheshire. And the reason that she was there is because Catherine wanted to visit the facility's mother and baby unit, which is run by Action for Children, a charity that she represents as a royal patron. But Sky News reported that Catherine was actually met with catcalls and a wolf whistle as inmates leaned out of the windows of their cells to watch her walk through the prison grounds. But actually, once she was in there with these women, the conversation that she had felt incredibly natural, really interesting, really important. And what I love about this, and Catherine always just gets it right, doesn't she? This isn't a political issue. She's not wading into politics. It's very much a humanitarian issue, but it is still boundary pushing. And I actually feel quite sad that it's been totally overshadowed by all of the madness at Invictus this week.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and I'm gonna try to even do a better job myself with speaking more about the good work that Catherine is doing and the meaningful work that she does. I think needs to be seen more, especially by Americans that don't follow the royals, because I just wish we had something like that here. And she just always appears to be very genuine and interested in the work, the people, and making an impact. I think she is the example that we all need and love. And I'm so happy to see the work that she is doing, and especially for the women in the prisons, because I think Catherine, can really bring value to these women around their children and their upbringing. And that definitely is a very important work. It is the future. And she just seems to show up in such a great way that I hope that they will be in America soon. I heard that they would be, but this is the kind of work that needs to really spread and be elevated so much more.
Yeah, it's
I'm really
Catherine's
happy that she's there.
yeah, Catherine's fourth visit to a prison. And speaking to staff in the unit, she said, "It's great that you are looking at the mother's well-being as well. The best thing for baby is to have a mother whose emotional needs and well-being is met as well." But she also sat down with two former inmates, one woman who left the prison 6 weeks ago with her toddler son after serving a 14-month prison sentence. Now, there was one, I guess, what would you call it? Maybe not a PR disaster. It certainly wasn't Invictus Stars, but a bit of an awkward one this week, P-Dina, where Kensington Palace and the spokesperson for Catherine had to address the fact that the Sunday Times had reported that the palace was no longer going to release the details of Catherine's outfit, apart from on major state occasions. Now, the problem seems to have come from the fact that the article written by Roya Nicker, the royal editor of the Sunday Times, was actually headlined as if they had spoken to Catherine direct. I think it said something like, I'm just trying to find it, but something like, "Focus on my work, not my clothes." And yeah, focus on my work, not my wardrobe. And so the Kensington Palace spokesperson, this is rare, has actually responded with an on-the-record statement to People magazine, where they clarified, "Over the last week, I have received numerous questions about a story regarding the Princess of Wales' clothing and how Kensington Palace shares information about her outfits. To clarify, the comments that appeared in the article were from me, not the Princess of Wales. The comments that were reported should not be directly attributed to the Princess of Wales. To be clear, there has been no change in our approach to sharing information about Her Royal Highness's clothing." Now, I found this interesting, P-Dina, because do you really think there needed to be that clarification? Personally, I know they're trying to fight fires a bit more after what happened with all of the false rumors last year. But I'd say with that one, no real harm had been done. But maybe Catherine was unhappy about it. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of focus around the wardrobe that Megan wears. Maybe they're trying to really stay away from that. I don't know. I find that a little bit odd to have to address personally, um, because usually the work does get seen and talked about, and I think it's just a little blurb about the wardrobe, if I'm not misunderstanding that. But I don't think there should be a big hiccup or a big hoopla around that personally.
No, it was
I
an
don't know.
interesting one.
I
I
find
did
it
wonder
weird.
if maybe there'd been pushback from some of the designers that Catherine works with. But the thing is, the journalists can just do a little bit of work Anyway, go and find out yourself. You don't need to be spoon-fed all of this information from Kensington
Mm-hmm.
Palace. It's a little bit lazy, actually. But it is
Yeah.
interesting, always interesting, P-Dina. You know, one of my jobs is to sort of expose how the royal rota works. And it was interesting because clearly Roya Nikka has had a big bollocking. She's one of the main journalists that the royal households tend to leak stories to. But clearly
Mm-hmm.
Kensington Palace don't feel like she properly represented what was said. So that is an interesting one. But wow,
Yeah.
what a week it has been.
It
P-Dina, so
has.
good to have you. And of course, oh goodness, I was watching your video last night on your own channel. Absolutely worth a watch. P-Dina has so much more on the Invictus Games debacle, and we will speak very soon. P-Dina, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.